Black, Toady, many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, brought me out here. And when she took me to that door, for the first time I was just a teenager, she showed me that the floor, when you go into this door, the floor slopes down a little bit. And she said that this was Ananash's parlor, but some Germans owned it after had bought it, and it made it into a kitchen. And so the slope was a concern to them because of the slope, and they were using natural gas. Okay? And so she showed me, she said that in that room right there, that window was right there, that's where Adonasha, after Grandma Toady, and probably the rest of her kids, were born. Grandma said that's where Adonasha babysat her as a baby. So Adonasha babysat Toady, Black, and probably the rest of them, Liz and all of them, in that room right there. And that window, right there, that is the honeymoon window. Grandma Black said that when you go in this front, remember that there was a hallway right here to let the air go through, and you go in there about 10 feet. You can't go in there now because somebody lives in there. But I went in there with Grandma, and then you turn right, and the big brass bed that she described it to me was that there was two big brass swirls. She had brought it back from San Francisco on one of their trips to San Francisco. There was two big swirls. There wasn't a mattress. They all slept on straw in those days. So there was a straw-type mattress, and to clean it, to change your sheets, you went out, you took all the straw out, and you washed the cover, and you stuck more straw inside, okay? And so that was the honeymoon suite, and it was kind of a family tradition. It's been said, but probably not true, that many Hugheses were conceived in that bedroom right there. That's the family tradition. So that's the window right there, folks. That's the window right there.
Apparently, I didn't know, she kept all the shades closed all the time because she didn't want any, number one, because of the sun, but she also didn't want her pretty things faded by the sunlight. So if she played her harp, she'd open up the window just long enough to let everybody, sit around and enjoy the harp, and then she'd close everything up again.
I have to remember that this was downtown, right here. Yeah. Remember Tom's thing last night? So Sam sat right here, many a night, right here. This rocking chair. And Barbara Murphy had that rocking chair for a long time.
It's at the museum, and
he
will
sat
show
right
it to
here
us
with
in
a
the
friend
archives.
in his rocking chair and talked to all of his friends as they walked up and down Main Street in the evenings in Tucson evenings. So this is more than just the home of the ancestors. This is the ancestral home. Some of your grandparents were conceived right there. And some of your ancestors were babysat right there. Okay. Had how many kids, Mom? 5 or 6?
This is the treat home. Cliff is talking about the treat home.
7 kids. And then Maggie lost her life in childbirth with the 7th. Is that right? Okay. And the family story is that Frank knew that she had passed away, and so he had left the kids at the house with the Mexican lady to babysit the kids, and that Grandma, being the oldest of all the daughters, was outside taking care of them. That they were playing in the dirt. They were playing, and so when you face the house, you want to look just to the right of the house and back about 10 yards to the side of the what was the original single-story house. Okay. And that's where Grandma Black was playing with the kids when Dad Treat came home. Frank came home and said, "Your mother just died." And then Frank went through this huge emotional turmoil. He said, "I can't deal with this." So what he did was he farmed all of his kids out. He gave all of his kids away to family and said, "You have to raise these kids for a while." And actually, that's anywhere between 2 years and 8 years. But eventually, he realized that he could not be in business and live alone. So he asked Toady, the teenage daughter, to come home, and that's why Toady knew all the family history, because Toady came home and lived with him, but Margaret, but only for a short time. And then Aunt Sis came back, and Aunt Elizabeth came back and lived there for a while, and of course Aunt Liz lived here longer than anybody. Aunt Liz went to California school. She came back here and lived with Adonasha after Sam died.
In this home,
in
but
this
not
house
in the
right
tree
here.
home, but in this home.
In this home. Okay, and so this was Aunt Liz's second home right here. This was Aunt Liz's second home. Other thing about the treat home is, the treat home has been through a whole bunch of renovations, and what you see now is just the shell. If you could go inside, you couldn't tell it anyway from what it was, because it was a single story when Frank lived there, because after his wife died, okay, after Maggie died, Frank went through this financial difficulty thing with the Corbetts and the Hugheses, because Sam Hughes literally quit financing 9 years before he actually died. And so I just told him to Bruce this. And so for 9 years, literally, Sam lived off of his assets. And even though he was worth about $150,000 when he died, and this was a lot of money in those days, Sam was used to a very nice livelihood. Look where he lived. This was called Nob Hill right here.
Snob Hill.
Snob Hill, well,
Snob Hollow. Snob Hollow.
I know, but that's not a nice name. I've heard Snob Hollow, but the nice name from San Francisco is Nob Hill, because Nob Hill's where all the rich people live, okay? And so Sam continued to live in his lifestyle, and about 5 years before he actually died, he was so poor he was going out living with other people. Adenasha said, I'm not leaving. Adenasha stayed right here while Sam went all to LA and all these other different places living with kids and grandkids. Sam stayed right here. Adenasha did. Sam went. Okay, well during that time what happened to Treat was Treat then went through this financial thing because he had been in business with Sam. And so when Sam decided not to work anymore, okay, then the Treat had problems with some of the family, and so he moved out to Benson. Okay, when you see the Benson home. The reason why I tell you all of this is because when you see the house, we're going to go see right now, the Treat house on the corner, where Aunt Sis was born, and Elizabeth was born, where all of our family was born. Okay, Grandma Black Toady was born there. Okay, all you see is the shell. The shell is the same. Since then, they've made it a second story. They then turned it into a market.
It's called the corner market. You can see.
And then the upstairs was then went into storage, and so all of the walls inside have been moved and changed many times over the last five generations or whatever, since that house was originally built. 3 generations to us, but the house was already there when Frank bought it. And the reason why he bought it is, who lived here? Adenasha, and you only go a block away, and that's where her daughter is. Maggie would not leave Mom, and that's one reason why Adenasha would not leave here when Sam decided to go to California. Adenasha said, my babies are here, and this is where I will be. And so Sam took off with his, with his backpack and the way he went. And Adenasha took care of the kids. So you're looking at that part of right there, where more than just where Toady was taken care of. Most of our family was taken care of right here in that room. Okay, turn that thing off. Okay, look at the right-hand side and back about 10 yards, and that's where Toady was and Aunt Sis was. When Frank came back and said, your mother just died. Okay, okay, let's go.
Okay.